This is Relatively Painless SAT Prep. In this series, in each video, we're going to be looking at one of the aspects of either the reading section or the language section of the SAT. In this case, we're going to be looking at the facts and inferences types of questions. These are actually fairly common. Yes, I demand to know the facts. Okay. So, facts and inferences are pretty basic. They're easy to detect. I like monocled cats. Elementary, my good sir. Facts are explicitly stated. That means you'll find them in the text. Inferences, on the other hand, are implicit. They're not explicit, they're implicit. In other words, you have to figure them out for yourself. You have to make a deduction of some sort, you know. The writer said she hated vegetables, so she would be least likely to order a broccoli smoothie. Based on the passage, of course. Alright, so just to recap, fact questions are found directly in the text, and inference questions are questions for which you need to connect the dots on your own. So, here's an example. What we're going to do is I'm going to beam these in. You're going to read the passage and the questions which are going to come in this box. You can answer the questions. You don't need to answer, I'll show you what they are. There's a couple of delightful cats. Then there's the passage, and then here are the questions, true, false, or inference. So you don't need to write you don't need to know the answer. You just need to know whether it's true, false, or inference. The trick being true or inference, okay? Pause the video, time yourself too if you like. You want to aim for between 8 and 12 minutes, I guess, would be a good place to start here. And press play when you're done. Okay. All set? So Gregor Samsa had 6 legs. That is an inference. His many legs, but we don't know that he had at least 6. We can reasonably infer it, how many he had, because most bugs have 6 legs. So I think spiders have 8, but, you know. Gregor Samsa's bedding could barely cover his belly. That's true. And that information is here. The bedding was hardly able to cover it. Gregor Samsa's legs moved involuntarily. Now, I think this is a fact. This is not an inference. Because they waved about helplessly as he looked. Gregor Samsa was dreaming. Now, I wrote this question not realizing that it's a bad one. Because we don't know which part of the story is being referred to. Because here, this happened when he woke up from troubled dreams. But here it says it wasn't a dream. So we're going to ignore that. Sorry if that gave you a hard time. And then 5, Gregor Samsa didn't have a significant other. This is an inference. And this sort of harder question is really easy to get wrong because, again, you're just under pressure of time and that sort of thing. But you'll see questions like this all the time. And the reason this would be a good choice for an inference here is because of the picture that was cut out from an illustrated magazine. It wasn't of someone he knew, but it was a nice frame and everything, but it was just some lady from a magazine. It's like... So anyway. Aside from bugs being gross, what can we learn from this activity? How to distinguish facts from inferences. So who cares about that? To max out your SAT score, you need to be able to tell fact and inference questions apart. That's cool, but who cares? Actually, sir, it helps to know the difference. I like this little cat. Take this for example. Based on the passage, it can be most reasonably inferred that Gregor Samsa was dreaming the whole time, that Gregor Samsa lived a busy life, Gregor Samsa didn't get out of the house much, and Gregor Samsa had a poor social life. Okay, so first of all, this is going to be what the wording, one example of what the wording might look like, most reasonably inferred. Okay, so the answer is D. A is false, right? I tried to illustrate that by saying that it was a poor question, right, on the last page. So B is an inference. Gregor Samsa lived a busy life. But it's not the best choice because there isn't a lot of evidence to support that. And also, okay, so the 4 familiar walls and frame magazine cutouts actually suggest the opposite. So that makes C and D look pretty good. Especially C, however. Okay, we'll do this first. Inference questions ask you to read between the lines. When you identify an inference question, you'll know how to answer. So identifying it by using the wording, right? Looking at the wording. So C is tempting. And it's probably better than B. But yeah, D is better. All right. Here's another example for you. You got this? All right, pause the video. Okay, you ready? Maggie is cold is an inference. Why? The boy is cold, and that's a fact. The girl's probably cold too, but it doesn't explicitly say that Maggie's cold. It's inferred that the father is late. The boy doesn't say, Dad is late, or anything like that, but till Pa comes, that's your evidence here. Johnny is hungry is a true fact. I'm hungry too. He says it explicitly. The family is poor is an inference. I only had half a potato. And the word only is super key here too, right? All the potatoes are gone. That's not true. She had a small potato. The mom had a small potato. Johnny and Maggie are siblings is an inference. It's inferred. It doesn't actually say that she's his sister. But seems kind of obvious, right? The family is using coal to keep the fire going. That is a true fact. And it's stated right here. Coal must do till Pa comes. It's inferred that coal doesn't make a warm fire. Why? It must do. It's not like the best, but you have to make do with what you got. The family depends on the father for food and heat. It's inferred. This is sort of suggesting that as well. That if the Pa was there, they wouldn't be so cold and they wouldn't be so hungry. And that's really sort of the main idea of this passage, isn't it? The mother was keeping a potato under her pillow. That is a true fact right here. Please excuse my sniffles. Have a bit of a cold today. All right, so next up we have a science passage that may vary from slightly to excruciatingly painful. I'm so sorry. You will see stuff like this on the SAT, and I'm telling you, your brain it works like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the easier it's going to be to perform reps. So, yeah, let's get into that ugly, horrible science passage that I have ready for you. Here we go. Pause the video, time yourself, and keep track of your times too. Write them down. It's really helpful to monitor your progress in these and to see how you've improved and where you still need work and everything like that. I will say that, and I may say this again in future videos, but one thing to do is if you don't have a touchscreen, like if you're working on a computer, follow the lines with your fingers. This really does help with active reading, and I highly suggest reading actively with using your hand, even though you look kind of dopey doing it. Like, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be watching you during the SAT exam. So I would just, legit, I would just sit there and you can actually read a lot faster when you use your finger. Um, it somehow makes it easier for your brain to like focus on the meaning and yeah, move faster. So anyway, I'll be back. Pause the video. All right, you ready? Okay. A is true, right? Priestley has a reputation as a man of science. Right there. But we cannot most reasonably infer a fact, so the correct answer is an A. Again, if you're just like taking a test and you come across this question, if you're able to identify it real quick, you'll be able to know that you're not looking for a fact. Same goes for D. Here we go. There's our evidence. So it's going to be C. Chemistry was once much more primitive than it was at the time of this writing, right? We must reflect what chemistry was in the first half of the 18th century. The vast science which now passes under that name had no existence. Okay. So that's it for today. In the next video, we're actually going to look at this again, and I'm going to give you a couple of shortcuts, reading shortcuts, ways to, because I talked about time a bit. So we're going to go over some methods for getting through difficult, horrible passages like this and really zeroing in on the meaning and everything like that. So have a good one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, all that. Bye.